The madness continues with the U.S. national debt speeding up to $34.155 trillion. Crazy, but it continues to climb up, and nobody really seems to care, at least among the powerful amongst us, those who actually control the coin purses and the United States Congress, as well as the presidency. The only time that any of these politicians ever mention the debt is if it becomes a political talking point. Everybody's against fiscal irresponsibility when they can make a case against the other party in power. But the reality is both parties are to blame for it, for sure. Nonetheless, who is to blame for silver price suppression? Well, we are going to take a look here from the secrets of the debt clock. The folks behind this have a message, and I don't even know that I totally agree with it, but we're going to try to make sense of it and see exactly what's involved here as we open up the new secret debt clock message. I think it's a pretty big one. It's actually quite controversial, and actually I'm kind of surprised that they would mention it, honestly, because they're usually talking about any things related to monetary policy and the debt, and there is essentially alluding to some extent to gold and silver, but you don't see this happen too often. We did cover this before in a different type of video about silver price suppression, but this takes it to the next level. And we're going to go through this here. So the question is being asked by our character here, our masked character. And again, we've gone through this in previous videos. He's wearing the mask, I believe, and others believe that, give him a sense of anonymity. You are free and you're not being tracked because you think for yourself, you are an individual, and so you deserve that privacy and anonymity there. The pineal gland, the third eye there, as we can see, and he's holding a 1964 silver Kennedy half dollar. And he's also standing upon here. We're going to zoom in on this and see exactly what his foundation is there. And look there. This is a combination of a couple of the symbols we've seen before. Looks to be some idea of maybe Tesla type energy. We can see there in the background. And there's a light and a star maybe in the middle, shining bright with there, and just illuminations all around, standing on the firm foundation of maybe free energy. I don't know. It's kind of an interesting thing there. You'll notice that we don't see a foundation of a sound monetary system because essentially he's holding it in his hand. So I think he's just I guess in this area of enlightenment. Maybe even what Tesla was going through with the Tesla coil. And we see the electricity emerging from it. It's energy, and he's high energy is what this individual is, wearing his patriotic clothing there, EXO. We've talked about that before, potentially meaning outside of the system, the very system of the Federal Reserve. And when you hold gold and silver, you are outside of the system. And I tell you what, that is one of the biggest benefits that people should really come to grips with. That's the theme of my channel for this year, is stacking to be outside of the system. The benefit of that, as opposed to trying to justify silver, and especially silver, but gold as well, out because of price. We look at it outside of price because it's holding wealth outside of the system. Price is just a temporary motivator or temporary indicator of the value of something, especially something like gold and silver. So he asked the question here, how is it possible that you're still able to suppress the price of silver? So he's asking a question, basically it's a question of, that we know you're doing it, and how are you able to do it? Well, the question, here's a clue, spoiler alert, it's never answered. It's never answered at all in this graphic, which I think is a little bit of where they kind of have missed the mark here, because it's asking how it's done, because no one really knows to some extent. We know it's done, but I could answer it, but it's going to be different than the explanation given. So this is why this is an explanation of it rather than a process. But nonetheless, we can see all of these arguments here why silver price should be higher. And actually, if you've been following my channel, I have answers to all of these. I'm going to kind of go through some of them here in this for the debt clock people. But yearly increase in PV solar capacity worldwide is exploding. There's no question about that. In 2012, and 31 megawatts of solar panels were created worldwide here and back in 2012. That's gone up 16 times to 511 megawatts in 2024. In fact, what they don't have here, what they don't say here is that from 2024 on, the new technology, well, usually when you have new technology, you can do more with less, kind of akin to Moore's law in computing, but not in the case of photovoltaics. Indeed, I covered this several times in videos on this channel where they actually require more silver to become more efficient. But it does a great thing, and that's where we're headed with PV technology. So that means demand for PV is actually going to continue to skyrocket, maybe even at a faster pace than what they're showing there. So given that, and given here, silver used in PV solar cell production, and we can see that when tied to that, we've got here in 2024, we've got a 30% increase here from 35 million ounces in 2012 to 245 million ounces in 2024, and that number is going to just go up. That's 7 times here, and so we see this kind of explosion in 7 times increase there. It's pretty remarkable, pretty amazing. Now we go down here too, and we have, of course, we've got this little graphic that shows silver as the atomic number silver, atomic number 47, and the attributes there from the periodic table. But then we look at the worldwide silver mine production here, okay? And this is interesting. So they're just using photovoltaics as one example, but electronics, EVs is another area where silver is being utilized, and actually that may very well go down as some of the battery-powered vehicles now are starting to get out of favor. In fact, Ford has just announced that they're cutting their production of the Ford Lightning in half, and others, they've lost a lot of money on EVs. But nonetheless, worldwide silver mine production is down. From 2014, it's 882 million ounces. And as we look through here through the course, it's almost like we've seen peak silver, for at least from that point of period, to now in 2016. Ever since then, it's been down. Obviously, for obvious reasons, it went down in 2020, and it's only marginally increased here in 2023. It has upticked a bit, but it's still down 842 million ounces. Now, keep in mind, 2024 very well may see more of that mine production because of this new story that I just covered. And so that very well could go up. And so they're showing 30% decrease, 30% increase. What's filling the gap? Well, I'm telling you that these factors here, there's a lot of other things in a natural market that extend far beyond these graphics. That's for sure. Number one of them being EV production probably is going to be down, likely in the years, or falling, not as anticipated, but we'll see how that plays. We'll see how that rolls out. And the other thing is recessions that are probably going to be coming, which is going to mean less items being used or being sold for silver. And notwithstanding mine production up, recycling is also something that is not factored into this. There's a lot of recycling going on. So there's a lot of natural market forces here. Notwithstanding, I'm not saying that there's not price suppression to some degree. And I think the very existence of the Federal Reserve is the biggest element, but we also have the derivative market, which is not mentioned in this. Here is the explanation. You don't understand, says Mr. Military Guy, on a flaming world as a foundation there. The world is on fire. The military-industrial complex is what he's showing here. Now we've got the pyramid here, the pyramid scheme. And we notice it's got a golden top there, but he's a part of that, and it's the U.S. And we can see if we zoom in on that, we can get a better idea of what his hat says there. It's U.S. CIA. There you go, U.S. CIA. It's a military-industrial complex. CIA being a part of that. And it says you don't understand it. It's strategic, economic, financial, political, social, and vital to maintain the current world paradigm. Yes, indeed. Well, the thing is that world paradigm, and I believe there's probably some truth to some of this. Um, and in the financial aspect of it, that's probably the biggest one because you have all these derivatives out there. The mere existence of those is sort of a suppressive force against the commodity sector in general. Silver is just a part of it. However, if it was strategic, they would be foolish to keep the price of silver down because the smart ones amongst us are going to stack it on up, stack it all up. And, who do you want to be empowered fiscally and monetarily? Well, you don't want the smart ones to be empowered, that's for sure. You want to do what you can to keep it out of their hands. Well, they're doing everything they can, and it's backfiring on them. So no matter what your views on this, I believe now is the time to at least maintain your stack, if not increase it as your budget allows. You'll notice this figure here, by the way, too, is sort of a faded, dark look upon it. He's almost like Black Ops there. It's kind of like it's a covert activity happening behind the scenes. I thought that was very clever of the debt clock people to show that. But nonetheless, very interesting infographic we can see here. And you'll notice that for the very first time in these infographics, the secrets of the debt clock, they're using a blue background. Yes, indeed, a blue background fading to black on the outer edges. Usually it's just gray against the faded, the debt clock numbers behind it. This time it's blue. I'm not sure what the significance of that is, other than it provides a great contrast to really see these infographics, and there's a lot going on there. But it could mean that, that it's the dark, most blue, depressive nature of what's happening behind the scenes in the market, the economy, and the powers that be. Who knows? Let me know what your thoughts are in the comment section down below. But very interesting infographic indeed. Silver Suppression Explained. I do these videos every time the debt clock people show these things. If you find this information useful, I hope you will consider checking out the other videos in this playlist. If you've missed some of them, I've got them all now. So I want to extend a multitude of gratitude to each and every one of you for taking the time to watch, and to encourage you to please rate, share, comment, and subscribe.